Chambers. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Police Committee, Mr. Ritchie.
Thank you, Mayor. The Police Committee met on July 19th. We went over upcoming events, which the chief just brought in front of the council tonight. National Night Out is on August 2nd. Vin Etching, which is Airhearn Insurance Agency, on August 19th on Hammond Street from 8 to 1, is going to do presentation. We're going to do the Vin, I don't know if he left, but we're going to do Vin etching, and there'll be other things going on there. We discussed possible hiring of a crossing guard substitute, clerk dispatcher, and animal control officer. Those things will be discussed, and we might come out with hiring or two. Training, the police department continues to train. Some of the shift training is in public relations, crime prevention, prisoner custody, juvenile custody, and police inspection. They talked about their range training facility. Moving forward with that, they're in the process of rebuilding their facility, and put heating in there and things of that nature. They also going to have a conference room up there, and that's still in the works, but we discussed that. The camera project that we talked about maybe two council meetings ago has been completed, point-to-point completed, and that's the one that's from the police station to the train station. It's a new camera. The most important thing is due to all the activities throughout the country, the police chief as well as the police committee and the mayor gave his blessing to restoring the staffing back to 3 cars on every shift, and that's a result of the recent targeting of police officers. So you're going to see 3 cars out there at all times, at least 2 cars responding to most incidents. And the one thing I'd like to bring up, and I'm sure the council also, is please, it's a very tense situation for all police officers, and if the residents see anything that can help the police or assist the police, please do so. I mean, they're out there all the time. I mean, they leave their houses, and nowadays they don't even know if they're going to come back. I mean, yeah, we're a small town, but we all look out for each other, and I'd like to continue to do that and maybe even pick it up a little bit because, you know, I know for myself, I give them a lot of credit for going out there. I had a couple uncles that were transit cops in New York City, and one got badly beaten many years ago, and so I know what it's like to walk out the door and possibly not come home. And yeah, we talk about that won't happen in Port Jervis, but you know, the way things are going, anything can happen, so don't be naive to that fact. So please, even if you see a police officer, thank them for their service. I mean, it's a tough job, and it only gets tougher as the economy and drugs and gets more prevalent. It's a tough situation, so I'd appreciate everybody chipping in with that. We went over the budget, and right now the budget for the police committee is holding steady. We went over the June report, and we compared the June report from 2015 to the current 2016 report. And fraud and burglary and larceny show the most increases at this time. The biggest part of our meeting is we had Officer Conklin and Officer Mack, who's our canine dog, and they came up and we did 2 presentations. And it was really neat. They planted a drug, or it's actually a cotton ball with drug on, scent on it. And they hid it in the conference room. And then Officer Conklin came up here and let the dog loose. The committee was there. Didn't even know the committee was there. The dog didn't concentrate on anybody. He said something to the dog. The dog circled the room, and when he found the item, he scratched, clawed, knocked. It was in a garbage can. He knocked it down, and it was pretty cool. And then after that, we went over weapons. They had planted a weapon out in the parking lot on the side of the city hall, and so we all went down there, and Mac was right next to Officer Conklin, and once again he whispered something to the dog's name. The dog went around the parking lot, went along the tree line, and he found a screwdriver, put it in his mouth, brought it right over to Officer Conklin. So these are things that the K-9 dog does. The other thing that was brought up is they're the first line of defense when tracking people in the woods and stuff like that. Also, in vacant houses, people are in there, they send the dog in first, so it prevents officers from being hurt or attacked. And so it was really neat. I think everybody enjoyed the presentation. Maybe at some point we can have them come back at a council meeting and kind of do the same thing. We did that 2 years ago, and it was really interesting to see. After that, the meeting was adjourned at 8:50, and our next police committee meeting will be August 16th at 7 p.m. in the mayor's conference room. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. And as a liaison for CDA, Mr. Ritchie?
The CDA hasn't met since our last council meeting. We are scheduled to meet July 27th over at the rec center at 7 p.m. But I do have a resolution based on the presentation given tonight, and it's a 2-pager, so maybe we should take a break and have the milk and cookies, I don't know. But,
read the whole thing? Did it come to us?
Really not summarized. It didn't go to you because it just came from the lawyer to us before the meeting.
You want me to read this? You want to read it, or?
I'll read it. If you get bored, I won't be offended if you walk out. Resolutions of the Common Council of the City of Port Jervis, Orange County, New York.
Somebody told me the thing's not up, so I'm just checking.
Oh, you are taking a break. You're walking out. Approval of the filing of the CFA 2016 CDBG application for up to $750,000 in grant funding assistance for the Hammond Street Sewer Rehabilitation Project. Here we go. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Port Jervis determines that it is advantageous for the city to make a 2016 New York State Consolidated Funding application to apply for grant assistance from the Community Development Block Grant Public Infrastructure Program to fund up to $750,000 of the cost of the city's proposed Hammond Street Sewer Rehabilitation Project. And whereas the proposed Hammond Street Sewer Rehabilitation Project shall begin where the current Jersey Avenue Sewer Rehabilitation Project ends, and at the intersection of Hammond Street and Pennsylvania Avenue, and the proposed project shall continue sewer rehabilitation on Hammond Street and toward Fowler Street, and whereas the Community Development Block Grant Program is federally funded program that is authorized by Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, as therefore amended, and the CDBG program is administered by the Office of Community Renewal under the direction of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. And whereas the City of Port Jervis and the proposed project meet the program requirements, including Section 106, Section 5306 of the Act for making an application to the New York State Small Cities CDBG Public Infrastructure Program, and the proposed project will benefit principally low to moderate income persons throughout an area benefit, and whereas pursuant to the citizen participation requirement of the CDBG program, the Common Council of the City of Port Jervis has held a duly noticed public hearing to identify all activities that the city may be applying for during the current CDB program year, and solicit and to consider the citizens' comments regarding the needs of the community and the proposed projects. And now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Port Jervis, Orange County, New York, that the Port Jervis Community Development Agency Director Valerie Baginski is hereby authorized and directed, 1, to file the 2016 New York State Consolidated Funding application to the Community Development Block Grant Public Infrastructure Program to fund up to $750,000 of the cost of the city's proposed Hammond Street Sewer Rehabilitation Program. And 2, to serve as the authorized representative of the City of Port Jervis in connection with the application to execute documents on behalf of the city to effectuate the application and to provide additional information that may require for the application. Resolve further that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute such documents and provide information that may be required of the city's chief executive officer to effectuate the application. Resolve finally that the Office of Community Renewal is hereby assured of full compliance by the City of Port Jervis with the certifications attached hereto and made part hereof with any certifications attached to the city's CFA application. I make that a motion.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Ritchie, a second by Mr. Bozo. Discussion.
We should get it after all those words.
Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. IDA?
IDA has not met, actually, since May. There's no new business before the board, so the board said June and July. Well, actually, I think we met in June, so June, July, and August, there'll be no meetings unless there's any new business before the board. So technically, the next scheduled meeting for the IDA will be September 21st, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, sir. ADA, Mr. Foster.
The ADA board has not met. Our next meeting is going to be September 6th at 6:30 in the mayor's conference room. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Siegel, Housing Authority.
Thank you, Mayor. The last meeting of the Housing Authority was June the 28th, and I'm happy to say that Santos Rodriguez is recovering nicely after his unfortunate accident. We're hoping that he'll be released from Helen Hayes in August. If you want to send him a card, you can contact Linda Drew at Hillside Terrace, and she can give you the contact information. The Port Jervis Housing Authority still has a job opening. Just take a moment to read it. It's not as lengthy as Mr. Ritchie's. Port Jervis Housing Authority seasonal part-time help, seeking an individual with basic maintenance knowledge. Duties include but are not limited to yard work, snow removal, painting, minor repairs, etc. Must have a valid driver's license. Applying person at Port Jervis Housing Authority, 39 Pennsylvania Avenue, Port Jervis, New York, Monday through Thursday between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. And they're looking for help. If there's anybody out there who would like a part-time job, that would be a great place to work. They're great people to work for and with. And the next meeting is tomorrow, July 26th at 7 p.m. at Hillside Terrace. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Recreation Commission, Ms. Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Mayor. The summer concert series at Riverside Park continues this Thursday, July 28th, when Rich Wilson takes the stage. This free concert starts at 7 p.m. Don't miss Rich's performance. He is fabulous. Our third annual 3-on-3 basketball tournament is this Saturday, July 30th at Church Street Park. The tournament is free and starts at 12. Registration takes place at Church Street the day of tournament. No pre-registration required. All participants must fill out the waiver form. Also, a special thanks to Corey Pupalo and Field of Dreams for co-sponsoring this event. Our second annual Tri-State Triathlon will take place on Sunday, August 7th at West End Beach. Compete in a 500-meter swim, 10-mile bike, and 5K run. Triathlon starts with a swim at 7 a.m. To register for more information, visit www.tri-statetriathlon.com or call the Recreation Office at 845-858-4045. Also, West End Beach is open for the summer. Beach hours are 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mondays and Thursday through Sunday. The beach is closed on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Please remember, swimming is prohibited when lifeguards are off duty. The summer program and youth center program is now in its 4th week. Playgrounds in the youth center are open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Free lunch is served at all locations at 12 p.m. There are plenty of activities and events to participate in, so go out and enjoy them while you can. The following field trips still have tickets available. Both trips are $55 per person. Cost includes transportation on a charter bus. New York Met baseball game is this Wednesday, July 27th. The bus leaves at 3:45 p.m. Also, Dorney Park on August 5th. The bus leaves at 7 a.m. The next Recreation Commission meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, August 17th at 6 p.m. at the Youth Center. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fitzpatrick.
You're welcome.
Tourism, Ms. Troby.
Yes. The Tourism Board last met on July 13th. The primary discussion was about Fall Foliage Festival. That's our upcoming event. It's set for September 25th. That's a Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Vendor applications are still available. They are available on the city website and are due August 25th. The board also talked about their second event after the Fall Foliage Festival, which is Chris Kindle Market. That's set for the end of November. The board also began brainstorming for possible future events. The board will meet next on Wednesday, August 10th at 6:30 PM in the council chambers. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank Mrs. Trovey. The reason that I didn't give the report is I was in the hospital twice during that week and was unable to attend the meeting.
You were eating
Thanks
cookies
again.
is what you were doing.
That's right.
Thank you, sir. Zoning Board, Ms. Randazzo.
Thank you, Mayor. There has been no meetings for the past 2 months, so zoning board has been canceled due to lack of business. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, August 2nd at 7 PM in the council chambers.
Thank you. And Planning Board?
Planning board met. We reviewed a public hearing for Samaki located down on Jersey Avenue. They're going to be increasing their operational space by 8,000 square feet, and it'll be adjacent to their building. They'll be connecting the two buildings, which is known as the Sign Here Building. That public hearing was approved, and we also reviewed phase 3 of the 100 Pike Street building, and that was also approved with some conditions, and they are going to be moving forth with the striping of the parking lot, the lighting, and I believe it's just about complete. They were looking at, there were some provisions that were placed in regards to the plans, that we had to add the number of employees that were going to be there, the hours of operation, and there was the retaining wall that's behind the building that'll be inspected annually by, currently Mr. Fuller provided that letter, and they'll have inspections annually. So that was also conditionally approved. There was also pre-submission on 298 East Main Street, which is it's the old Orange West Realty located by Dunkin' Donuts, and they're looking to put a day spa in there, and that will come back at our next meeting, and Planning Board will meet on Tuesday, August 16th at 7 PM, also here in the council chambers. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And I did see work going on over at the plaza today. I'm not even going to mention plumbing and electrical because they're not coming back. All right?
All right.
Till September, we'll bring you back. Senior Advisory, Mr. Siegel.
Thank you, Mayor. I met with the senior housing representatives and residents during the month once again. There's nothing to report with the exception of there are apartments available at Water's Edge should anybody be interested in that. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And Access 23,
Mr. Belcher.
Mr. Belcher.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that, as everybody knows, I've spent the last 6 months trying to improve the picture quality for viewers of Channel 23, and I think we've made some improvement. I've had some help from State Assemblyman Carl Brabenek, also State Senator John Bonasek, and I've received some good reports from viewers and also from people that are having shows on Channel 23 that they've been able to complete their show and have good picture quality. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Under Mayor's Correspondence and Information Update, I just got a message from Mr. Kowinski from the Tourism Board who just wanted to throw out a thank you to Mr. Farr and the DPW for all their help in the police department during the fair, the carnival. Also, to piggyback Mr. Ritchie's request to help and support our police department. When you see an incident, for the many law-abiding citizens out there, when you see an incident, please give detail as much as you can to the dispatcher so that they can relay that on to the responding officer so that they're aware of the situation as best as they can be when they come into it. If you see something that a person's got a backpack with them, if they're hiding something, they're keeping their hands in their pockets, they've got a coat on, anything that could conceal a weapon to put an officer in danger, please make that advisement. Always better to err on the side of caution than to have a tragedy like we've seen in Dallas and Baton Rouge and Kansas City. And I've been out there, so I know there are times when you go on these calls where it's very apprehensive, and anything that the public that calls for that help can help the dispatchers to help the officers is very much appreciated. So thank you for mentioning that. I have here as notes if anybody didn't show up, but we'll work on your issue with the flooding. I got a letter from Safe Homes. I'm not going to read the whole letter. It's based on that domestic violence partnership that they have with the Domestic Violence Awareness Month in October. And what they are requesting again is for the clothesline project. This would be the 5th year that the clothesline project would come back to the city of Port Jervis. And they're requesting Thursday, October 13th, 2016 from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Veterans Square Park. So do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Randazzo, second by Mr. Bobozo. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you. I have a letter from Mr. James Roner. It is to please accept sincere thanks to the council, Mayor Decker, for not only from myself, but our family, extended family, and members of the scouting and church community for honoring my mother, Marion E. Roner, by naming Kingston Avenue Marion Roner Way. The unveiling ceremony was nicely attended, and kind words brought back many memorable occasions, touching of the many years and many scouts that had gone through the scouting program under the direction of his mother. I am sure she is looking down with deep appreciation for the efforts and would have approved of the manner in which you had the signage erected and detailed. Thanks again for your kindness. Sincerely, James Roner, Jr. Many of you, actually I can tell you that this year I have received no calls about the water. And part of that is probably a $10 million clarification system that we now have in our fresh water. We are being actually, if I went onto the website, under the American Water Works Association. It's AWWA. You got to remember those acronyms. Anyway, they are showcasing our clarifier plant in their publication. So making it around to the nation's public works systems to say, hey, listen, these are some of the things you do. Obviously, we got a lot of grant money with it. We did bond part of the project, but it is something that makes our water better, cleaner, and safer for us. So, we did have a request regarding the Halloween event. That's the haunted house to be moved from the school district's auspices to the city. There have been some questions in regards to that. We have the request out to NICOM. So as soon as we receive those recommendations, we'll move ahead on the haunted house. We've been bouncing back and forth. Many of you may have heard about this, but the Promenade project, which was down on Front Street, was a project to put a park and the water fountain, or replace the water fountain that's down there, but extend the park and close off Front Street. You would still come down off of Fowler, but there would be nose-in parking, and your access would be out through the mini mall parking lot, and there would be a nice park area there. Unfortunately, by the time the money that we got for the grant came in, and all the procedures something that I've learned by sitting in this office of every single agency that you need to go through, whether it's a state project or a federal project, they boil up and use most of the money. Prices rise. The bottom line is that our grant funding for this was a total of $488,898. The current construction cost with all the add-ons that they put on it is $959,348, which becomes a city total share of nearly doubling the project of $470,450. So we have some choices to make. One of the choices is that we just totally back out of the project. The only problem is that once we back out of the project, we are responsible for all engineering fees that have been going on for the last 10 years, which comes to the sum of $134,258. This is something, and I'll be honest, the state of New York and the New York State Department of Transportation, made this happen, put us in the bind. So here are the choices that we have. We either do the project for $470,000 and we have a project done, or we just back out of the project and it's still going to cost us $134,000. I sent this to Finance, and Finance, I believe, had agreed to just drop the project because obviously we don't have $470,000 to move forward with the project. However, the state of New York put a little dangle out and said that there is money for projects like this that have been overrun or haven't been finished, that they're willing to give, how much money is it in total? 18 million altogether. So we're going to request to see if we can get that $470,000 share from that group. The only thing is the time is of the essence, because we only have till September 30th to refuse the project. Otherwise, we have to move forward with it. So I just wanted the public to be aware of it. That whatever happens, it's going to move real quick. But either way, I wanted you to realize what our great state of New York is doing to us. Many people saw that there was a concern on Facebook about somebody having their dog taken. I know a lot of the council members here were tagged on it, whether you saw it or not. I'm going to ask the code committee to take up the item in regards to the per animal fee that we charge for an incarcerated, I guess it's more than you use, right? Animal. Impounded animal, that's right, there you go. Incarcerated animal. All right, so anyway, how they came, just so the general public knows, how they came up with that fee that used to be a lot less was we had a contract for years with the Humane Society. We no longer have a blanket contract with them. They insisted that they charge, is it $275? Excuse me, $250 for each dog that comes there, which means that every time one of our, and we've controlled as much as we can, but anytime we get a dog and we have to take it up there, the second that they fill out the form, even if the dog is there for a half an hour, the city is charged $250 per dog. But if that dog's there for a year, it's still $200. We only paid one fee, $250. For cats, it's $50. So instead of putting the onus on our taxpayers for that $250, the code back in March 28th passed a fee change so that it goes on to the owner. In this particular case, it was a good person with a good dog. The dog got loose, and the police officers picked it up, didn't know who the owner was, and took it up to Humane Society. The dog was recovered pretty much immediately, from what I understand, right? Within a couple hours. But was very upset about the fee that they had to pay. So, again, we are charged a per fee animal, and that was the Humane Society who requested that. We wanted the contract like we had before. We could take as many animals as we want, but they wanted the per animal fee, and that's why it was passed off. But I'm going to ask the code committee to just go over it and see if they wanted to make any changes or if they wanted to allow it to stay the same. I got a request from the Tourism Committee to make an appointment of Charles McCabe from the Pointed Hat. He is very interested in helping with advertising and promoting the events of the Tourism Board, especially on social media. So I will be making that appointment effective tonight. I will send the letter to Mr. McCabe to expire on January 31st, 2018. And thank you for his willingness to serve. And that's all I have as Mayor's Correspondence Information Update. City Clerk Treasurer's Report, Ms. Wassenager.
Yes, as the city clerk, I am in receipt from a request from Hospice of Orange and Sullivan counties, and this is a request to the public. They are looking for people to volunteer to provide either companionship or caregiver relief to persons receiving hospice care and their families. And to that end, they are going to be conducting training throughout September and October. So if you find it in your heart to be able to volunteer to lend a hand to hospice, you can contact our office, or you can contact their Director of Volunteer Services, Deborah Epstein, at 845-565-4849. It's a very tough job, but very rewarding. Also, out of the City Clerk Treasurer's Office, yes, and Finance, we did review the audit, and the one thing that I was the most proud of in that controlled the expenses of this city to within 1/4 of 1% to what we budgeted. Now, I'm sorry, but there's $12 million. We had excess expense.